Welcome to the I-80 Club after Nebraska football on this Sunday morning. Josh Peterson, Jack Mitchell with you here on the I-80 Club YouTube channel following a 28-21 dub by the Cornhuskers. Jack Mitchell, good morning. How are you today? Was it chilly outside at the Good Life Happy?
It was cold as balls. It was
I believe
so
that's the
bad.
technical term.
It was so. I felt terrible for the people I felt terrible for myself too. Oh my gosh, I'm hoarse. This is the first time
I
I've
was
talked.
just gonna say your voice.
Crap,
Is so,
that's not a good choice. Wow. All right. Apparently, standing out in the cold and yelling at people is not a great voice thing. Okay, I haven't talked for an hour, so that's interesting. Okay. Anyhow, no, it was great. It's one of my favorite things to do is go out there, and even if it is cold, it was cold, but even if it is, I still say there is no. I was out, for those who don't know, at the Good Life Habsy. I've got a spot for KLIN that I'm always in, and I swear there's no scenario in life where you will come across such a mass amount of people so happy to see you as you are if you're offering like high fives and yelling encouragement at a half marathon. It is good for the it's good for the soul. There's just I'm not even kidding. Like the amount to see people like see you who are struggling and then like have their whole face light up over and over and over and over and over and over again just by like saying something to them. It's like it's a great experience. Do it. So I would encourage you to do it sometime if you're down.
Wow. I could not agree with you more as someone who has ran in many marathons, many half marathons over the years. The support from people, especially, Jack, when it's someone like you who is just like, you're just there to do it. Like, my wife comes out, supports me and my family. Like, that's one thing. But like random people and doing, the thing where you put your name on your bib or whatever so people know to yell. Like, that's one of the cool things about Pink Gorilla.
I say their shirt all the time. I say all their names.
Yeah, they put the names on their actual stuff, which is really, really cool.
And I stayed at the very end because there's people who are struggling, and I'm always like, and I hold a Bluetooth speaker and I play 80s workout montage songs, training montage songs, like from Rocky. So like Eye of the Tiger and like, Burning Heart and all of this stuff. And yeah, I try and read their names if I can see it close enough. And I tell them that it's true, the next like 2 miles are pretty much downhill, which always makes them smile too. So like, it's awesome. It's one of my favorite things to do every year. So it was great. I probably lost my voice doing it though, but that's okay. It was worth it.
David drops a heart emoji. David is a feral marathoner as well. Riss says spectating races is awesome. Yeah, I did it for the Lincoln half earlier this year too, and that was really, really cool.
And I do it for the half. I stand when I do it for the half. I haven't done it for a couple years for the half, but I stand on South 48th. Over close to Old Highway 2 there, but I have the same spot I stand every year. I have people stopped and like, hey, thanks for always being here. I always look forward to you being here. And I'm like, hey, you remember that? That's hilarious. That's awesome. So
that's awesome.
It's been a good 12 hour or 15 hours. What?
Yeah.
17 hours.
It has. So let's dive right into this. We hopped on last night, Jack. We hopped on, a little over 12 hours ago, and we did our halftime show. Nebraska at the time was up 21-7. They would score again to start the second half. They would go up 28-7, and I think all of us were yet again planning one of those nights. Like, oh my gosh, they're finally just gonna kick the shit out of a team. And in the end, what did they do? They had to hang on for dear life. And it's funny because the offense, Jack, on their first 4 full drives, they score touchdowns. The only time they didn't score was the one play kneel down to finish up the first half. The offense scores touchdowns on their first 4 drives. The offense after that doesn't score again. And yet, like, they weren't struggling. They picked up yardage. They picked up first downs on the next few drives. And the last one, of course, was one where they got 3 first downs and then they take the knees and they finish up the game. But like, the game didn't get interesting because the offense was unable to put them away. It was because the defense didn't. And I didn't mean to like kind of begin this pod by saying, oh, damn it, defense. But it could have been a party. It could have really been a party. And people are still jacked. Emmett Johnson is leading the country in all-purpose yards. TJ Lateef was tremendous in his first game. He completed his first 11 passes. But man, I have been wondering this morning, like, what would the vibes be if the defense didn't kind of just, shit the bed a little bit in the second half and it could have just been one long collective, 4-hour party for everybody.
First of all, and people maybe they'll disagree with me. I was never overly nervous in this game. And this is someone who, when Nebraska's been up 10 in games, I've said, I know they're going to lose this game. I don't know. I really
we
wasn't.
did a podcast series on it once, Jack. I don't know if you remember that too.
I don't know. I just it was too much to score. And Nebraska was getting some stops. And they were holding, like, they were never going 3 and out on offense. Like, I knew they were going to eat up clock. They did punt twice in a row, but again, that was sandwiched between they only had 4 drives, I think, in the second half, right? They had, let's see, they had the touchdown on the first drive. Yep, touchdown, punt, run out the clock. And none of them, like you said, were like, I just knew they were going to eat up every time they got the ball, they were going to eat up multiple minutes. And as long as it wasn't some kind of a pick six or something like that, I just thought I didn't think UCLA was going to have some kind of an 80-yard touchdown type play because they were relying on some interesting stuff on offense. But Nebraska's defense certainly has some things. I mean, I think there's some very clear critiques of the Nebraska defense, but on the other hand, I didn't ever get to a point where I got super nervous because even if they had gotten the ball back, they would have been able to tie it, right? I don't know. Whatever. People can disagree I can see why you would be.
It was a game, Jack, limited possessions. You just mentioned what you did. Nebraska had 4 in the second half. They only had 8 overall. And again, punt the last one of the first half because they took over with 6 seconds left and they just took a knee. They had 7 actual possessions and the plays lasted 9, 4, 9, 6, 8, 8, and 9 plays. So to go to, again, the point of those drives at the beginning of the second half after the last touchdown, they still had 8 plays for 32 yards, 8 plays for 23 yards, and then the 9-play drive that got 36 yards. And again, it was really a 6-play drive because then after that, they took the knees. This was, Jack, I was looking at it this morning because I'm pretty much all the way done with my column for Husker Max, so I have like a lot more numbers than I usually have for one of our post-game shows. This was the first time this entire season where Nebraska scored touchdowns on their first 2 drives of the game. They had not done that in any other game this year, even against the Tomato Cans back in September. That means it's the first game, of course, where they scored touchdowns on their first 3 drives. And again, if you remove the kneel down, they scored touchdowns on their first 4 drives of the football game. They finished with 70% of the available yards. So, just to make this obvious for people, if you have 99 yards to go and you pick up 98 of them, it's essentially you got 99% of the available yards. 70% is ridiculous, especially when you consider that the kneel down that they took at the end of the first half happened at their own 30-yard line. So they didn't pick up 70 of the available yards, and yet they still were able to get 70% of the available yards. Like, I don't know. We're going to have a lot of discussions today and over the next few weeks about TJ Lateef and about how the offense looked and felt different. But I think that is my favorite stat from last night, just in kind of showing they really did move up and down the field, even if they didn't score a touchdown after their first drive of the second half.
Yeah. No, and even the first one that they punted on, that was the one where Ja'Cory Barney got kind of blew up on that. He got hit hard. Like, Harburg blocks that guy, and Ja'Cory is probably, ifs and buts, right? But like, it was still Emmett for 7, Emmett for 9. UCLA, the 2 of their 3 touchdown drives took like 7 minutes. They weren't a super quick strike offense. I think that was why I wasn't that nervous. And Nebraska was just able to be having a running game makes a huge difference, Josh. Like, it does. And that's where my confidence lied, I think, in the end, and I just wasn't freaking out about it. Probably that's why Nebraska could take time off. And UCLA was taking a long time. Even when they were effective, they were usually taking a long time to operate.
Yeah, they were.
Like, even their last touchdown drive was a long-ass drive, remember?
It took 12 plays, 96 yards, 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, you might score here, but you're going to run out of time in this game.
Yeah, they only had 1 quick strike scoring drive. That was the one that made it 28-14. They went 69 yards in just 4 plays. I mean, 39
touchdown. Yeah.
But the other ones, 17 plays, 75 yards, 9:46 off the clock. So I mean, it was truly a death by 1,000 paper cuts. So Jack, you combine the first and the last touchdown drive for UCLA, 29 total plays. But they only got 151 yards or 171 yards. Like, that is not a good recipe. Like, a normal team is going to be able to shut you down eventually. Nebraska's their run defense is what it is. And Nico Maliava was awesome last night in terms of the design runs. He was really good. The scrambled runs, he was really good. And so he was able to pick up copious amounts of yardage. Yeah, he really was. But I would say this was different than the USC game last week, where it was like everyone, I thought, was carrying the ball well against Nebraska. It wasn't just
Nico.
Yeah, it was just Nico last night.
It was just Nico. And here's the thing. The other thing they were giving up was passes out of the backfield. Like almost all of UCLA's really damaging passes. And I believe two of their 3 touchdowns were passes out of the back, 2 running backs out of the backfield, where Nebraska was in man-to-man, which they like to do on those. And I think on one of them, Javen Wright was on the wrong guy. They left on the final touchdown they had. He wasn't covered. And then Singleton got caught up in traffic on the other long touchdown. And that's one of the gambles. That's one of the gambles of the man. It kind of almost reminds me of the running long touchdowns that they give up earlier in the year. If your one guy isn't there, they're gone. And that kind of happens with the kind of defense that they played against the running backs and against Maava. If your spy doesn't get Maava, right, you're screwed in a lot of those cases. And those were I know people like to, whenever the defense fails, it's like, they weren't physical enough or they weren't getting the push. No, they weren't fast enough. And when they got their hand, once they get in the backfield, it's not even getting in the backfield. It's the problem. It's catching the quarterback, it's wrapping him up, and it's tackling him, or it's catching him from behind. I would say this defense's problem isn't, I hate the word, but this is what you guys use, physicality. It's speed and athleticism, in my opinion, is the biggest problem.
Bad angles sometimes, where they're just taking the wrong angles.
I mean, even like when Ariel get in the backfield, and I'm like, man, dude, you got to be faster than that back there. You look like a physical specimen. How are you not moving faster back there and catching? How is Maava running past you during that game? And you had that again, and again, like Javen Wright's had a great season. He's not a super speedy, fast linebacker. Those are some of, I think, the bigger issues on defense right now. And it's when those linebackers get caught up in man-to-man. I think those are the issues in the quarterback getting, not running. And those have caused the biggest problems. I think that's it.
It has been. We talked about it yesterday. We've talked about it all week, really, leading up to this game. That was going to be one of the biggest things. Is Nebraska has given up really nice days on the ground for quarterbacks, and it was more of the same yesterday for Nico. D'Lo just posted the rushing stats for UCLA. I mean, it's pretty wild, Jack. You remove what Nico did; he averaged 5.7 yards a carry. The team overall only averaged 4.2. You take away his 86 rushing yards, and you're looking at what? I'm trying to.
I think they had one good run by a tailback.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like a 117-yard run by a tailback.
Yeah, 21-yard run by Javion Thomas. And otherwise, Jack, he had 11 carries for 18 yards. They really get shut down.
You know what else they didn't do? They didn't have passes to their wide receivers that were damaging. They got most of them when Nebraska was sitting back in zone on that Flores guy on the last drive. I think they had 4 to him on the last drive. Other than that, and they had one where Nico was scrambling around. He looked like Dylan Raiola. He scrambled around, got away. And then the guy had finally got past Guthrie, who had been hurt earlier. And it was just kind of an improvised play. Other than that, when Nebraska was in man-to-man, really covering their receivers, they couldn't throw to him once again.
Yeah. We talked about on the halftime show last night that it doesn't seem like the pass defense is playing all that good. And then you look at the numbers and it's like, Nico had 60 yards or something. It was like, okay, well, it's just wild how the view that we have of this team, has been shaped over the course of the now 10 games. And then you watch a performance and it's just like, man, they're kind of dicing them. And then it's like, never mind, they're really not. The pass defense again had a really nice night out. Outside of that play, I would say in the second.
I mean, Josh, here's part of the reason. Receiver in terms of yards for UCLA, receiver number 2, receiver number 4, and receiver number 6 were all running backs. The running backs were what were what gouged them. I mean, again, Flores had 6 for 52. Okay, and like I said, 3 or 4 of them were they're playing zone on that last drive, so they're playing the zone. So let's get it to him. Woods had the long touchdown out of the backfield. Berger had, I believe, a couple of good receptions out there in key situations. And I think Frias had the other touchdown. And that was the one where I think Javen Wright got out of the backfield was the problem. The corners and man-to-man coverage, and still not an issue whatsoever. It's getting your hands on the quarterback, not letting him run. Now, the good news is Iowa is going to be where the problem is with that. but I also think you're not going to have as many concerns from Iowa and other places. And hopefully you're going to be able to be a little bit more aggressive with them in terms of the play calling. But again, I was not going to have a passing game against Nebraska. I feel pretty comfortable.
Not a mobile quarterback,
like,
but yeah,
they'll have no passing game against Nebraska. You just let Sierra and you let Marshall just do their thing.
Yeah. Iowa had a long play yesterday against Oregon that was just a total busted coverage where the safeties just were not getting back, and suddenly they were over the top for a large gain that allowed them to move down the field. Jack, like obviously offense is the story. We're going to get to the offense in a moment. Anything else on the defense? Like there was a lot of critiques last night. There was a lot of arguing going on Twitter last night among some about Butler and the lack of aggression that he had towards the end of the game in particular, where, and like, shout out to you, I guess, for not really being that stressed. I definitely was like, wow, is this game really going to get close for no particular reason because the defense can't get off the field? Did you have any thoughts on any of that towards the end of the football game?
To be clear, that's been my critique of Butler all year. Especially against Northwestern. And then he finally tends to do it a little bit, mixes it in at the end. I don't know. I thought it was odd because I actually saw some stuff that I hadn't seen from him this time around. He blitzed a cornerback for the first time, right? I've ever seen. They brought Singleton on blitzes a couple of times in the last few games, which they haven't really done, or Guthrie in those situations. And I know, like I was talking with Schaefer during the game, and he just wants to see the linebackers go up the middle on
correct
blitzes. But again, I don't think they think they can get. Well, Shavers can. Shavers certainly could. But I don't think the other ones. I just don't think they have a lot of confidence that those guys are going to get home. And then
no Dayton McCullough yesterday.
And then I think the other concern is, well, hell, let's play zone and make him have a 12-13 play drive instead of letting them have the one thing that they're able to get, which is the running back coming out of the backfield uncovered.
Yeah. I mean, God, and seriously, man, you look at you're right about the drives. They had the one quick strike drive, but otherwise it was just a lot of plays, a lot of yards, and a lot of time. And so that's why it ended up being a game with so few possessions. But when Nebraska took over with less than 5 minutes to go, it was like, all right, like if they can move the ball here and get some first downs, like it could be over. And sure enough, that's what they were able to do. It was a bummer that the game got unnecessarily close. I thought in the end, like the biggest critique, not the biggest, but one of the biggest critiques about this program under Matt Rule has been that kind of NFL mindset of, and he leans into it, right? Every game's going to be close. Every game's going to go down to the wire. Like they play and they coach to that way. In my opinion, too often, Jack, like I watch the NFL every Sunday. In the NFL, I think that that's the way you have to operate, unless you are an otherworldly talented team that is able to go up and really put the foot down. That doesn't happen all the time in the pros. It does happen more in college, though. And Nebraska, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's that maybe they don't want to, that they don't think that they can. Like there was a 3rd and long. I think it was the second to last drive that Nebraska's offense had the ball. And so this was right before UCLA scored to make it a 7-point game. I remember saying to Riss, like, this is interesting. Here you go. A long passing situation. And they just handed the ball off. And it was like, never mind. They're not even going to engage with this because they don't want to give UCLA the football with really good field position. They're happy to punt it. And the funny part about Shaq is they did punt it away. It was a great punt into the 5-yard line. And yet UCLA was still able to score a touchdown. But they just seemed like Nebraska was very happy and very content, if you will, we have a lead. We're going to be okay with sticking with this lead right now.
And there were a couple of 4th downs that UCLA went for it. If Nebraska stops them, the game's over, right? There are a couple of 3rd, 4th down plays they got, or 3rd and longs that they got where the game's pretty much over and they couldn't get off the field on those. They had the fake punt, but I think they ended up punting anyway on that drive. So yeah, there are certainly issues there. But the next 2 games are odd ones, right? And so, like, I mean, I'm kind of focusing on the defensive matchups in the next 2 games. I don't necessarily think the problem is that they're not getting into the backfield. I'd like it to happen more. It's like you took the pressure, you didn't hold the pressure, right? That's what I'm saying. Excellent. The pressure, all the pressure is doing is flushing the quarterbacks out. and allowing them to run. And that was what happened last week, and that's what happened this week too. They've got to turn those into sacks.
Yeah,
they've got to turn those,
especially because again, in 3 weeks, in 19 days now, when they play Iowa, their quarterback can run, and their offense has not been shown a willingness to be able to pass this year, but he has certainly shown an ability to be able to run the football throughout this.
It's like those guys get in the backfield and they just like lose their balance and they just can't. They lose. They have no speed. They can't get those quarter. And they made. Listen, Nico he's an incredible athlete, man. He had a couple really of those runs. Mayava is not. That's a funny thing, but they made Mayava look somehow fast during that game. So I'm not surprised, Nico. It was a game. The game plan was pretty clear by UCLA, right? I mean, they watched that USC game. They're like, we're not passing downfield on these guys.
Yeah, because we can't. We're going to lean right into and thankfully for UCLA, they obviously didn't get the win, but thankfully for them, they have a mobile quarterback who was able to take advantage of that defense in a way that even Mayava wasn't a week ago. Anything else? Should we get to the offense?
Yes, please.
All right. Let me ask you this as we start the conversation, and I'd love to hear from those. And we're reading comments in our Discord server. If you want to drop us a super chat, we're happy to read that as well here on the YouTube channel. Jack, do you want to go Emmett first or do you want to go TJ first? Because I think both are fun conversations. Both are different conversations. Both are unique conversations.
TJ's got a little bit more nuance to it. So let's go with TJ first.
Let's go with TJ first. TJ Lateef completes his first 11 passes. He ends up going 13 of 15. You can make an argument, Jack. He could have been a perfect 15 of 15 because certainly the last drop or the last incompletion was a straight up drop by Dane Key. The other pass I thought could have been caught as well. He finishes with 205 yards, 13.7 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, 0 interception. And I'm looking at the ESPN box score right now, Jack, because QBR takes into account the running component for a quarterback. TJ Lateef, out of a score of 100, got a cool 98.7. He only added 31 yards on the ground, but the first play of the entire game for Nebraska's offense was a 14-yard keeper. And I mean, Jack, immediately, I thought that was such a good play call because it was like, you got to take into account this now the rest of the game, UCLA. And then they never did it after that. But I do think, really have to imagine, we'll get to Emmett in a few, but that had to help Emmett Johnson, right? That they had this quarterback that the defense had to keep account of the entire game, even if he barely even ran the football last night.
That's a good point, Josh. He only had 5 carries. And after that first one, the over-under on carries you thought he probably was going to have was about 14, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought we were going to see him run way more than we did.
Good too. You're right. Yeah. It was that was really smart to put that out there on the very first play and be like, yeah, you're going to be thinking about the rest of the game. And then I don't know how many other design runs they even had for him during the night.
Yeah, he finishes with 5 carries. So they had the first one, certainly. So 4 other runs. I'm
sure
guessing,
they had some RPO options.
I think 2 of those were scrambles. So I'm guessing, Jack, it might have just been like 2 or 3 designed runs for them all night long, which is I
did not expect that. I'll admit it. I did not expect that. So, and I got nothing to complain about though. Again, I like the offense was so freaking efficient and like we said, 2 punts. Yes, there were 2 punts. On drives where they gained at least 1 first down on each of them still, right? They didn't go 3 and out the whole night.
No sacks.
Somebody said this in the Discord. How nice was it not to have a bullshit 3 and out throwing the ball three times for no reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They never did. Yeah, that was Adam. Yeah, and I mean, Jack, too, we were talking earlier about towards the end of the game, that 3rd and 13 where they just decide to run it. And then D'Lo points out, but that final drive, they gave the keys to TJ. Jack, you want to talk about a true stunner for me.
No kidding. That pass to Dane Key. Holy
bingo.
Crap.
I could not believe that they did that. And so the last drive, Nebraska runs 6 plays before then they just kneel down to end the game. But on their 3rd play, so they had just gotten a first down. Emmett Johnson rushed for 8. Emmett Johnson rushed for 2. So it's 1st and 10, and they hit Dane Key for 7. And then they go, and that one was the one that was over the middle. He got stuck.
Yes.
And then the next play, they go to Hunter for 17, and it's like, oh my gosh. And so by that point, they'd gotten 2 first downs. UCLA had to take the timeout there, and that was I believe that was their 2nd timeout with 2:11 to go. Nebraska gets a 9-yard carry right before the 2-minute timeout, And then they pick up the first down. It's like, oh my gosh, the game is over. And so it went from like this is going to be a really stressful final drive to never mind, everything is fine, and they're gonna get out of here with a dub very, very quickly.
This is one of the reasons why after the game there were some people complaining already that they almost gave it up, which okay, fine, they did. But like they just did the drive that everyone does against Nebraska.
Correct.
And people I hated it. Everyone hated it. Like Nebraska delivered that. Nebraska was the team that was more composed, right? That was making play, that had the balls to throw a couple of passes on it. That Emmett Johnson fought his freaking way to get that back-breaking first down at the very end, right?
Yep.
Where I was like, I don't think he got it. And they didn't even come out and measure it. He got it.
Yeah, and it was ball game.
It was ball game. And like, even, can you imagine how frustrating that was for UCLA? They knew Emmett Johnson was getting the ball on that last drive.
And he still got it.
And he still did. And then they didn't even give it to him a couple of times. It was like, that was a hell of a drive.
You have to imagine, Jack, on their sidelines that they were like, all right, guys, there's no way they're going to put the ball in the freshman's hands. They're not going to throw the football. Like, we got to stop Emmett Johnson. We got to stop the run game. And sure enough, first two plays, Emmett, first down. But they're still probably thinking, all right, we just got to get a stop. We cannot allow this guy to run on us. And then they get 2 completions for 24 total yards, and essentially the game is over. I have to imagine that they were stunned at that decision from Dana Holgorsen and Nebraska. And that throw, the first one, especially the one that didn't even pick up the first down, but was over the middle, that was a great throw and a really surprising play call. And they absolutely pulled it off, and it helped them, pull out the victory.
Josh, this is what burying the groin kick era looks like in a drive. Emmett Johnson for 8, Emmett Johnson for 2, first down. Lateef with 3:05 left. Lateef for 7 to Dane Key. Then Isaiah Hunter for 17 with 2:22. And then Emmett Johnson for 9, 2-minute warning, right? Emmett Johnson for 1, first down after the 2-minute warning. You knew, I mean, it's like, God, we know it. We know he's coming and we can't stop it. Oh, and then they didn't even give it to him and we had a chance.
Yeah.
And they didn't stop him. And this freshman, and here's what you say if you're Nebraska, like if Nebraska's UCLA in the scenario, of course, a true freshman has the best game of his life, right? Against us.
In his first career start.
In his first career start. You know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I'd be saying. It was like listen, I am open to the discussion about TJ Lateef next year, but I'm not really gonna have the discussion until he plays 2 more games, guys.
That's Jack. The best part is about last night. I do want to read this real quick before we get into this next little topic. Jab says it's become cliche this season, but we lose this game 3 years ago. 100%. Lose this game last year. Lose this game 2 years ago.
Yes,
Jack.
They've exercised those demons, Josh. I think that might have been the final nail out of the coffin.
Yeah, 4-2 in 1-score games. It doesn't mean, of course, that they're going to always win 1-score games. They lost one last week, but they're 4-2 now in 1-score games this year, and they've been able to pull them out.
Groin kick game.
Correct.
This was the type of that game, right?
Yeah.
1,000%.
What you said about TJ, I think, Jack, is that's essentially kind of going to be the crux of what I'm writing for Husker Max this week, and that is, this was exactly what you wanted to see, but admittedly, UCLA is like the worst defense in the country. Nebraska gets away, or they get out of a game without allowing a sack. First time that's happened against a power team. UCLA is literally the last in the country in terms of sacks this year. They have 6 sacks this season. They're really bad. But all of that to say, this is what you wanted to see from him in his first career start. He performed at a very high level. And you know what? It's like only going to get tougher from here. The next game is in 2 weeks. I have zero idea what to expect atmosphere-wise, because Penn State now, I mean, they had a chance to talk about groin kicks. They have a chance to get the top 5 win that they've been waiting for. Oddly enough, it almost happened without James Franklin. Indiana hits the play of the year in the end zone. They lose that. They're playing, I believe, Michigan next week. And then they're going to play Nebraska, right? So, like, let's see where the hell they're at. Like, they had a good atmosphere yesterday. I'd be stunned if the atmosphere for the Nebraska game wasn't as good. That said, the athletes of Penn State are going to be infinitely better than they were last night against UCLA.
Yeah,
and then, whatever happens in that game, a win or a loss for Nebraska, then they're going to return home, short rest, Black Friday, against a team that has been a house of horrors against them for a decade now. And so, like, I love that the next 2 games are a little bit harder, a lot bit harder in the final game of the regular season. And I mean, I just think that whatever's in front of them, he has a chance, and this offense has a chance to make things interesting. And I don't know, Jack, going into yesterday, if I really thought that there was a chance for them and for him to make things interesting. We talked about it on our bonus pod for subscribers on Wednesday. What could happen for there to be a real discussion going into the offseason? Yeah, 3-0 was one of the things.
You said 3-0.
We said 300 total yards for TJ. He didn't get there yesterday, but he had a very efficient 240.
He checked
no turnovers, no sacks.
We can agree he checked the first box. He
100%.
He did what he needed to do in that game to make that.
By the way, Penn State plays Michigan State. Thank you, Jabs. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Like, this is super exciting, and at the very least, the next two games are infinitely more interesting than I think they would have been, honestly, right?
I was so sort of unmotivated being in this no man's land I was talking about with Nebraska football, where they've made a bowl, they can't make the playoff, and then that game ends last night. I'm like, I'm so mad they have a bye week next week or an idle week.
Yeah,
right?
You want to watch them play again.
I was like, man, I want to see that offense again. I want to see Emmett and him again, right? I would love to. I'd love to be able to see that again. And whatever issues he had, the other thing I'll say about him, one of the big concerns a lot of people brought up, rightfully so, was ball security. No problems with that. One of the things that people brought up with him is just kind of the rhythm and the cadence that you could see wasn't right with him on the shotgun snaps and the mesh plays. Wasn't a problem with that. Like, they whatever issues they were, they cleaned up during the course of the week. So props once again to our bod coach of the week, because he did another great job.
Yeah, not to brag, but we are absolutely destroying it in that regard. A couple comments. Mickey says next two games are real opportunities to show something. Bruce says Iowa has final boss vibes. I love that. That's a great way to describe it. And I think D'Lo and my wife, they hit on something interesting. D'Lo says, my feeling, I don't think Dylan Raiola is the answer, no matter if TJ is the guy or not. If TJ struggles and the staff decides he's not the guy, go get a similar experienced style guy in the portal. Riss says, I think if Dylan was any other player with the same stats, the fan base would have just about unanimously wanted to move on before he got injured. I think both he and this offense have higher ceilings without each other than they do with each other. And I think so. And the other thing, and like, look, if I will offer a mea culpa to any of the discussions over the last 2 months, and I know that the Teefies are out there and the Teefy Hive, like they've been going at you and me and others, like, no, give him a chance. Jack, like, I do feel like an idiot for it's not that I don't understand the mobile quarterback discussion, because I do. I understand it. I guess I thought it was more possible to win without a mobile quarterback at Nebraska than perhaps it is. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but like, people say that all the time, right? Like, mobile quarterback, it changes the math, and it does do all of those things. We see, and you love it. Every time we do a Be Kind Husker Rewind and the quarterback is mobile, I mean, you're edging practically throughout the entire pod. And so then you watch a game like this and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, I understand. I understand why people want it. And so maybe the problem that I have had with this is I have long thought, no, Nebraska can win in ways that other teams do. They can do maybe they can't. Maybe they can't win in those types of ways because of whatever reason. The offensive line's not as good. The receivers aren't getting as much separation. Maybe they just chose the wrong guy at quarterback. I don't know what the answer is. But like, games like last night are those, okay, you know what? I have to admit when I'm wrong. And I think that I was wrong in thinking about it from that perspective.
And Josh, I'll tell you this. If he looks like that and they win these next two games and the offense looks like that or close to like that, I will take my lumps. I'll take my lumps and be like, yeah, you got to do this. Because here's the thing about him, Josh, last night that I will say that I was most impressed about with him was his throwing on the run. He's throwing on the run. You know, he just like threw bullets in there, man. He threw bullets in there, hit guys right in stride on the run, looked super comfortable. Those two passes on the last drive, right? Or even the first pass, the pass on the first drive. I think it was to, was it to Key? I can't remember, but passing like over the middle, right? It just, and again, Hunter on the first drive. Yeah. Like it was like some of these passes where I've been wondering where they've been in the Nebraska offense. And that's partially on the play calling too, to be honest. But those were the ones that I was really impressed by the way that he did that on the run on some of those. And like the last, what was the other one? There was another one to Hunter on the sideline. Maybe it was that long one on the last drive of the game. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of there. But there were several throws, a long, awkward way of just saying, like there were just several short to mid-range throws where it was, horizontal action. He was on the move where he was, I just thought threw great balls on those. Right.
Yeah.
And he didn't really have bad throws last night.
No, gosh, Jack, did he have a bad throw last night?
I don't know, man.
I mean, like, again, he only had 2 incompletions, and both of those were drops. Especially the second one was a pretty bad drop, if we're being honest here. Yeah. I don't think he had any bad throws. Now, part of this, and let's add the obvious caveat again, just to cover our bases here. UCLA, bad defense. But we've seen
Nebraska. This was level one. Level one. Everything was in his favor in this game. I said that 100%. Coming in. You asked me on Friday night why I was confident in him in this game, and I laid out because everything was in his favor. What being on the road, but in a home environment, in his hometown, good weather, a defense that isn't particularly good. A great running back behind you, like everything was in his favor, man. But it doesn't mean everybody's going to pass the test in that scenario, and he did with flying colors. So now he goes to level 2, and then he's got level 3. And he's got level Black 3 Friday.
Yeah. And then who knows where what we're talking about after that. I don't think, at the very least, Jack, I don't think that we are. I'll just ask you: Are we being hyperbolic? Are we getting out over our skis collectively? Are we all getting out over our skis, or is this something that these conversations that we're having right now and that we had last night are going to age well? Because that's the only thing I'm wondering about. Is like, man, because their defense is so bad, And you're right; it's level 1 next week or 2 weeks from now is level 2. Iowa is certainly they're level 5. I mean, that's going from 200 level to 500 level. It's graduate level in terms of what they're going to try to do. And let's see what happens weather-wise. Like, that's the other thing. Yesterday, perfect, right? For perfect weather for a first start. It was not what it was in Iowa City yesterday. Who knows what it's going to be in State College. That's the thing that I just can't stop wondering about is are we being a little much right now? And I don't know. Probably, right? The answer is probably.
It was the most comfortable Power 5 road situation you could have for a quarterback in his first start in a Power 5 game on the road by far. Again, not to take anything away from it. Next game's going to be really different. The game after that's going to be even more different because next game you're going to have probably a more raucous. I don't know what Penn State's going to feel like, but it'll still probably be more of a raucous environment than that. But you'll definitely be playing against a better defense, better individual players in that game for certain. And it'll be on the road, and the weather will not be 72 degrees. And then the week after that, you're going to be playing against the team that really wants to beat you, wants to beat you because of who you are. You're going to be playing at home with the pressure that comes along with playing at home. You're probably going to be playing in terrible weather. That is nothing like Los Angeles.
Correct.
So all of those individual sliders are going to move over to a difficulty level that's higher for each game. So I do think it's premature to take for me or you or anybody to know exactly what needs to happen next year. But I do fully understand the argument, right? That's being made that no matter what, this type of quarterback is more what Nebraska needs, which I don't listen. I don't disagree.
It's almost like we're having 2 separate discussions, aren't we? Like, is this the type of quarterback that Nebraska needs, is TJ Lateef the quarterback Nebraska needs? Because I think that the answer to those could be different, even though, like, I mean, if you really like what you see from TJ Lateef, Jack, like, why would you want to bring in a different guy, unless you just don't think that he's the one that can do it.
Right.
So, yeah. Really, really, I mean, just a really impressive day. And Jack, like, to get then into the other story of the offense, the thing that he will have going for him over the course of the final 2 games that is not going away is the best running back that Nebraska football has had in over a decade in Emmett Johnson, who is now 1st in the country in all-purpose yards. He is 2nd in the country in rushing yards. He is 4th in the country in total touchdowns, and puts together, Jack, yet again, and I wrote this for tomorrow. This is now, you can make an argument, the 3rd consecutive game and the 4th game in 5 where we left saying that's the best game that Emmett Johnson has played. I think it started with Maryland, that game, that's the best game that Emmett Johnson ever played, right? He had that super long run that was incredible. Of course, Minnesota happened, but then against Northwestern and then against USC and now against UCLA, every single time I left thinking, was that the best that we have ever seen Emmett Johnson play? And Jack, last night, the answer is unequivocally yes. Well over 200 all-purpose yards for Emmett Johnson on the evening. He ended up scoring 3 touchdowns. He had the screen was just freaking gorgeous, man. 56-yarder, 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 touchdown on the ground, finished with 129 rushing yards. He had 31 total touches, including 28 carries. I don't know. What can't we say about like all the concerns that I have about being hyperbolic with TJ Lateef? I have none of those with what Emmett Johnson is doing for Nebraska's offense right now.
I'll tell you what. But I mean, we kind of already knew this, but you can add to his resume for whatever's next for him. Great job. Has great film catching the ball out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh my gosh, that wheel route, that second touchdown he had.
Awesome.
It was a great throw too.
Yep.
But there's a lot of running. There's a lot of run, and it wasn't, it was great play design, all of it, right? Had a little bit of Lawrence Phillips in the Fiesta Bowl vibe to it. Frazier to Phillips in the Fiesta Bowl with the misdirection going the other way and going back that way. But there's a lot of running backs that can't do that very well. Catch the ball like that out of the backfield.
Correct.
And then
a lot of running backs can do the screen, right? They can do that play. A lot of good ones. Like not everybody can do the touchdown catch.
That was the most we've seen him like run in space all year was those 2 plays.
It really was.
And by the way, for all the crap all year about the offensive line, and I think I said this during the halftime show last night, dude, Justin Evans and Rocco Spindler on that first touchdown are absolutely bulldozing people the whole way down the field. All the way by the goal line, Spindler lays one last guy out. It was those guys, I was so excited for those guys on that play because while it was an incredible play by Emmett, I think Evans blocked 3 guys down there. And like, it was so good. Like they were it reminded me of that time Cam Jurgens was like 40 yards downfield against Oklahoma that one time and got a penalty or something. Just those guys were impressive. They were impressive blocking for him on that play.
Yeah,
and I think overall, I mean, you got to give something to the offensive line. I think the
offensive line looked really good last night. They absolutely looked really good. They were opening up some nice holes.
Yeah. And you got to get Pritchett and Corcoran, man. Like, I mean, I think there's no doubt that probably Evans and Spindler are the best guys on the offensive line, but Pritchett and Corcoran, I don't know, man. The tackles have played so much better. Much better.
Yeah, they absolutely have. And Emmett, I mean, gosh, man. I am now officially, I think, Jack, in the camp, and we talked about this a little yesterday, I think on coffee. We talked about this, you and John did on your show Friday, and then John and I did on my show Friday. Like, this is probably it. Like, we're probably now, like, don't you feel pretty, like, sadly, I think I feel pretty good that we are watching the end of the Emmett Johnson Nebraska experience. I think you probably have 2 games left, depending on what he wants to do for the bowl game, which, like, that's the part that now it's like you start getting kind of sad because, I mean, the dude has blossomed before our eyes in such a special way this year. And again, he's getting better over the course of it. And so if I'm him and I'm guessing, knowing what I do about Matt Rhule, I'm guessing he's told him like, yeah, you got to go to the next level. And so you got to chase after that second contract as soon as possible. So I think we're watching the end of his Husker career, which is a bummer, but it's obviously happening for the best reason.
Yes.
It's because he's good.
Right.
And he's going to go to the pros, not otherwise.
I'll tell you this. If I were him, it'd be the end for me.
Correct.
I'll tell you that right now.
100%.
If I were him, there would be no question for so many reasons, Josh. And you and John laid it out. John and I laid it out. I hadn't really been thinking about it till John and Nate and I talked through it Friday morning.
I've been thinking about it till like 2 weeks ago. Like this has totally caught me off guard, man. It really has.
If he's a top 10 running back in the draft, and by the way, I'm sure he's going to continue to climb if he keeps doing this and catching the ball out of the backfield and those sorts of things. If he's a top 10 running back in the draft, it would be really hard not to go, especially because there's so many games. His stock is a place where you're afraid it's never going to be this high again.
Correct.
Just because how many times do you have game after game after game like he's had, right? Yeah. It's just, that's not a rip on him or saying it's a fluke. It's just freaking hard to do that.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even take into account the possibility of an injury. next year.
Exactly. And like you looked at the Cam Scadaboo contract because he was number 8 overall, or the 8th running back drafted last year. He had like $1 million guaranteed, and that was all signing bonus. Plus, he got $1 million this year for his salary. So that's 2 running backs in the portal. Like as much money as being thrown out there in college football these days, a running back is not going for $2 million. So like already you are making a whole lot more money in the pros. And then of course the other thing is, you are then 1 year closer to your second contract, which is the one where if you're getting off to a good start and you have a good NFL career, that's where the real money would be made. So yeah, I think sadly
I hope I'm wrong. But if it were me, I'd be out. And I wouldn't be transferring either. I'd be going to the pros.
Yeah.
Because if you can be, Kuiper had him number 8. That would be, for reference, that would be Cam Scadaboo. In last year's draft. 4th round. Yeah. 4th round is where it falls. John went through a list of them. It was really interesting. He had Chuba Hubbard was that number 8 running back 1 year.
Mm-hmm. It's oddly, Jack, like he went through all these names and it's a bunch of guys that people know. Not to say like being picked 8th as a running back is like the guarantee to have a really good career, but it's like there's a bunch of named dudes. And so it'd be interesting if that's where he ended up getting slotted.
One of them was Zamir White, and he's been a huge flop. But like most of the other ones, I mean, well, look, Chuba just signed his second contract, right? He just re-signed with the Panthers like last year, and got paid with that one. And Scadaboo, assuming he comes back like he does, he probably will too. It'll take a few years, but as you were pointing out, that's when you get life-changing money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, $1 million.
Because Bruce says, did he say a 4th rounder only makes $250,000? No. First, 4th rounder, again, Cam Scadaboo, 4-year, $5.2 million contract. $1 million of it was guaranteed. That was all of his signing bonus. So that's not even counting his base salary this year, which was $840,000. So you smash those two numbers together and you're getting close to $2 million is what Cam Scadaboo is making over the
and the rest of it isn't guaranteed, but you got that signing bonus, right? And you got that first year.
Yeah. So. Bingo. Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that was what Kuiper had. I'm not a huge draft guy, so I actually hadn't even looked it up till just the other day because there's no reason to think about it.
I know.
Just a few weeks ago. But the thing is, he's going to go just like us. He's going to, his stock is going to rocket after. Man, imagine that was like a national game or a game people were really paying attention.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jack, let's see what happens now over the course of the next couple. He's already he's rushed for 100 plus in his last 3. He's rushed for more than 100 in 4 of his last 5. In terms of all-purpose yards, he has hit over 100 all-purpose yards in every game going back to Michigan State. So that's now 6 in a row. His worst power game this year, Jack, was 97 yards on 24 total touches against Michigan. So even against Michigan, he got close to 100 all-purpose yards. Every other power game, he's gotten well past that. And then, of course, yesterday he finishes with 200-plus yards. And now he has 14 total touchdowns on the year. Remember coming into the season, how the thing with him was, like you and I liked him, of course. We thought he was really good. All of that was based off of, some flashes here and there early in his career, but in particular the last 4 games. And we had like 2 questions. One, his durability. Is he going to be able to touch the ball as much? Because he averaged 20.5 touches in the final 4 games last year. He's answered that one, obviously, with flying colors. He's getting 30 damn touches a game. The other was he just doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. Dowdell was always the touchdown guy, and now he's got 14, and he's tied for 4th in the country. He's like answered those questions with flying colors over the course of the whole season, but certainly over the last month.
Dude, isn't it crazy that he split time with Dante Dowdell last year?
It really
and lost time, which I didn't even like then, right? Mm-hmm. When he wasn't maybe going to be getting Heisman votes. Like, I didn't even like it then, and now I hate that they could not develop him faster.
But in the end, and this is the other thing that John brought up, he doesn't have a whole lot of carries on his odometer. So, like, that's the other thing that's going to work in his favor when you start looking at the NFL draft is he's gotten better over the course of his career, but he doesn't really have a whole lot of carries early on in his career either.
Yeah, man. 3rd down back, man. 3rd down back.
Yeah. What a special season for him.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Need him to stay healthy, but they're going to have to ride him in the next 2 games. Think of it's bad weather in either of these games or something.
Yeah. Jack, gosh, this second off week could not have come at a better time because they're going to catch Penn State, who will have played another game, right? And they're probably all caught in their feels. And then Iowa's Iowa, but like that like in a season with 2 off weeks, getting the second one in week 12, like that's pretty damn good. Like that is kind of what you hope for the final 2 games of the year.
That guy's got to be so freaking happy. Everybody does, I'm sure. But man, can you imagine that Iowa game? Like if he walks on senior day and you're going to have the national spotlight at that time slot pretty much, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, maybe it's my fault for, cheering for Iowa to lose. You could have been ruining an Iowa playoff situation.
Yeah. Who wins that argument? I mean, I picked the Iowa cover. I'm feeling pretty good. And they had you in it. Okay. They did have the lead late in the game. They did have the lead late in the game. Very happy that they lost that one to the Ducks. Very happy. We were cheering that one on pretty hard in the basement.
Also, the amazing thing about it is special teams lost it for Iowa, probably because they had the worst snap in. I can't believe this wasn't a Nebraska thing. Maybe the worst punt snap I've ever seen in my life.
And that was after a bad punt snap to begin the game.
Yes, it was after and they switched punters, and I was like, "Why did you switch punters?" It wasn't his fault. He wasn't 10 feet tall. Yeah. That second the snap was, I swear, it was 7 feet over his head and 10 feet to the right of him.
God. It was like, Jack, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the 95 Orange Bowl against Miami. And then their punter tried to do the same thing the Miami guy did, where he remember he kicked it out of bounds and then that led to the interception. Yeah.
Dane Pruitt was the Miami punter. I was watching it with my son at End Zone, and I told him the story of Dane Pruitt.
Oh my gosh.
Doing the thing. And then I was trying to remember the rule. I was like, okay, now I think it's on the kickoff.
Because Nebraska, I think that they in the Orange Bowl, they could have accepted. Yes. And so then Nebraska had the football, and sadly, Brooke Berringer threw an interception, and then Tommy Frazier came in, and then they won the national championship. So it all ended up working out well for them in the end. But you're right, like for Iowa to lose this game, in part because they allowed 2 points at the very start. Pretty tough for the old.
Yeah, I mean, it would have. Listen, I definitely didn't want them to win, but I will admit, if that game had a playoff spot on the line on Black Friday, oh my gosh. Now, they have to go to USC next week, okay?
That's going to be tough, man. That is going to be tough.
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. And then they have Michigan State, so they should win that. As you said.
So maybe a 4-loss team. They could certainly be a 3-loss team. I mean, they're underdogs. I have to imagine. I haven't even looked at any of the point spreads for next week.
And Penn State you mentioned it's Michigan State, but they go to Michigan State next week. Michigan State's going to be looking for something to get them up, right? It's been a rough season there. Penn State's going to be so down. Can you imagine how down Penn State is? I mean, and then they're going to come home and they're just going to be playing out the string, man. We'll see. I mean, the Matt Rule thing might motivate them. I don't know, but like.
By the way,
that is going to be a team who's going to have to fight for it to be motivated for that game.
Yeah, Iowa 6.5 point dog on the road in California next week. Risk points out: do we beat Iowa 13-10 in overtime to end the groin kick era? Good Lord, Jack, you want to talk about a way to truly do it? Like that's the way that they got to do it.
We should have a funeral for the groin kick era if they do that.
It's an excellent idea.
If they win on a field goal, that'd be amazing. Or Iowa misses a field goal, that might even be better. If Iowa misses,
blow some kisses.
Yeah. So that'll be both of those games are going to be super interesting. I have no idea where Penn State's going to be, and the Iowa game is going to be the Iowa game, no matter what. Like it, no matter what. That is going to be, and I can't wait for that week, Josh. Man, I cannot wait for a game where, again, you just hate the opponent, and like that's all it takes. We don't have to talk about all the other extraneous stuff because everyone wants to beat the opponent because of who they are so bad.
Yeah.
Something still lacking very
Let's just hope that Rule doesn't have to convince any of the coaches that week, like just go into that game. Everybody want to beat the shit out of them, right? Like you hope that there are none of those Minnesota-like discussions that will happen inside of those.
The good news is any player that's been there that isn't new to the team knows because last year, yes,
it's been a horror show.
Yeah, it's been a horror show. And last year there was all the theatrics too, right? the being on the Hawkeye at the middle field, the non-handshake, the comments after the game. Remember the comments after the game?
Oh, I remember them. Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's finally, I hope we can just admit it. It's a rivalry, guys. Sorry, but it's also fun. Have fun.
Thank God none of the people inside of the I-80 Club, I don't think, are even going to argue with that. It's just people that I honestly would rather not talk to at all.
D'Lo talked Bulls. I think we got ourselves out of Detroit for sure with that win. So
definitely, yeah. So Nebraska has now moved out of the cold weather bowls with the win yesterday, which is really, really nice that you don't have to worry about that. Now you see what happens over the next 2 weeks, and I mean, Jack, you really can. You really have an opportunity to move into some prime territory where you're playing some good teams, some known teams, some named teams, depending on what happens elsewhere. I mean, I guess there's a world where they could play, like one of the first 2 SEC teams to miss the playoffs. Like they could play. So you're talking about like Tennessee? Oklahoma, Texas, Tennessee, Missouri, like somewhere in that tier. Vandy, probably somewhere in there. If you're able to pick up a couple of wins. You get one win and you're probably looking at like the lower end of those SEC teams. And then you get a loss, and I mean, then you might actually play like ACC, I think. In some of I always forget what the agreements are. I know Vegas, you could play an old Pac-12 team.
Yeah, you could play Washington. Washington would probably be the team.
Yeah, that would suck because they're playing Washington next year. Remember, Jack, when they played Washington in 2010, and then in the 2010 bowl game, and then they played them again in 2011? Like, that would be so dumb. I really hope that.
So dumb.
I do not want them to play Washington. I mean, they won't play Oregon because Oregon will be, a playoff type team. But like, I just do not want to see them play. I just don't want that. Come on, like I don't.
The other team I saw him playing in Vegas was Cal, which I thought was kind of funny.
They did pick up a win last night, so now they're
the Isaiah Hunter Bowl. I saw projections in various bowls against Oklahoma, against Missouri, against Vanderbilt. I saw. I'm trying to remember the other ones that I saw. Those were the main ones. And again, just joining us. Sorry, I sound like RFK Jr. My voice is just like I was yelling at the half marathon all day. So
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, there were some interesting matchups. Missouri, Oklahoma were the ones obviously that were kind of the headliners in that, and Vanderbilt too. So
oh shit, Colts driving right now. Let's see. D'Lo says
Atlanta scored. I didn't see Atlanta scored.
Yeah, Atlanta took the lead. They got
I saw the 2-point conversion win, and I thought the game was over.
Yeah. D'Lo says 7 wins. Nebraska could be picked against teams with 8, and they would be, and I would agree. Josh Jab says let's get to at least 8. Yeah, they absolutely, if they're able to, I mean, they're already in that zone now, Jack, because they're a team that is going to travel and these warm weather places now because they weren't good enough last year to make it to one of those types of bowls. Well, now they are, first of all, they're going to go to a warm weather bowl. It's just how warm and how good of an opponent are we talking about? You get to another win. I mean, Jack, 8-4 really would slot you ahead of some other teams just in terms of your fan base and travel. And so that is very much on the table. Of course, if you win out, like you're probably going to the best non-playoff bowl is what we're talking about for Nebraska.
Let's see. I was just trying to see if there were any publications who had already put out bowl projections this morning, and it looks like Athlon did. I don't know if theirs are any good. They've got ReliaQuest in Tampa versus Yep, on New Year's Eve against Oklahoma.
What time is that bowl game at? Does it tell you the time?
Afternoon. I can find that. I don't have it in front of me right now, but somebody.
Yeah, Jack. So we talked about this yesterday. Does this mean now that are we in the clear in terms of you and I doing podcast stuff, like holiday wise?
Yeah, if they stay away from the Rate Bowl and
that's
the Pinstripe,
the Arizona one.
The Rate.
They're not going to Pinstripe. They're not going to Pinstripe.
Yeah.
Look at that. So we're good to go. You and I, we might be able to have some fun.
I should be unless I go to the bowl,
Unless, that would be nice for you, but a bummer for the pod.
ProFootballNetwork.com. They may not know anything. They have the Pinstripe Bowl against Miami that came out this morning.
Yeah. Okay, those people sound like idiots. They will not be playing. They will not be playing in the Pinstripe Bowl, and also Miami, as much of a problem as they have had lately, they are not falling that far down. Like, what are we doing here? What was this website?
ProFootballNetwork.com. I don't know. I was just it was the first thing I said. I'm not standing by it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let's see. Like McMurphy, I think his projections are a Monday thing, so we'll probably over the next 24 hours we'll get a bunch more.
I want to see if College Football News, they usually have theirs out pretty early.
I
can't find them right now. So, but just to tell you, the bowls, the Citrus is the top one versus SEC. Then ReliaQuest, which formerly Outback, that's Tampa. Citrus is Orlando. Both those versus SEC. Las Vegas is actually 3, according to this SI article, versus former Pac-12 teams.
God, see, that's the one. I'll be honest, Jack. That of the warm weather ones, that's the one I least want them to make, just because I don't want them to play a West Coast team that they're going to play next year.
Stanford's not bowl eligible, probably.
No,
they lost.
What Oregon? Stanford sucks. Oregon State sucks. Washington State, not very good. Yeah, so I mean, you're looking at I'm trying to remember other ones. Colorado's not going to one this year.
Colorado, dang.
I guess like Arizona,
Washington.
like Arizona State, like that type of,
that could be. Jeff Sims versus Nebraska. Yes, do it. Sorry,
and revenge for 1996, revenge for 19-0. I guess I wouldn't totally hate that.
In Vegas versus Arizona State. I don't hate that.
I wouldn't hate that as long as if you could guarantee me no current Big Ten team in the Pac-12 spot, I wouldn't hate it. Arizona State would be fun, especially if they wore their old uniforms.
I would like to go to Vegas. That'd be fun. My son will have just turned 21 a week before that.
Oh my! Wait, he turns 21 in the next month?
December 22nd.
Oh my gosh! Happy birthday, Johnny!
Yep, December 22nd.
Awesome.
Wouldn't that be fun to take him to Vegas for us?
That would be
he's 21.
Wow, that would be an all-time trip for him.
Number 4 is Music City versus SEC. That's where you're getting a lot of the Missouris and the Vanderbilt. It'd be a home game for Vanderbilt. Then Pinstripe versus ACC. Hopefully that's out. Rate versus Big 12, which is the worst named bowl ever.
Too bad UCF has turned into a tire fire, Jack, because the Scott Frost Bowl was very much possible if UCF would have kept winning, but they lost.
Yeah, last week there were a couple of rate bowl projections against Baylor and Iowa State. Let's see, USA Today had Vegas versus Washington. This is last week. And Vegas versus California. Schlabach. On 3 had Music City versus Vandy. The Sports Illustrated had ReliaQuest versus Oklahoma. How
would you feel about that, given Nebraska just played Oklahoma a few years ago?
Oh, God. I'm going to have to correct people about the history of the rivalry again. I feel like I've done my work. I feel like I could be just honorably discharged from that job for a while and just not play them, and someone in the new generation could take it up.
Jab says we want Mizzou. Mizzou would be pretty fun.
Mizzou would be fun. Also, they don't have their quarterback. Although,
so that would also be fun.
And by the way, if Emmett Johnson, I assume Ahmad Hardy wouldn't play in that game, but Josh, you arguably have 2 running backs who are playing against each other for a spot on the draft
wouldn't
board.
Play. Oh, that sucks. That's
because I don't know what I'm just trying going off my head what the running backs probably are, but I guess Hardy is up there again, up a bit above Johnson. Jeremiah Love obviously is. Probably both the guys from Penn State, maybe.
What are you? What stat are you looking at right now? Just raw.
I'm just saying, like the NFL draft board. I'm just. The top running backs in my head.
Yeah. Ahmad Hardy is 3rd in the country in rushing yards, so he's done it in.
Jeremiah Love on the draft board. Jeremiah Love
is 5th in the country right now in rushing yards.
They're not doing well, but they would be an NFL.
Yeah. Quan Lacey's 10th in the country, 912 yards.
Yeah, remember when everyone was like, oh, man, in September was like, oh, man, we should have had Quan Lacey. Emmett Johnson's numbers crushed Quan Lacey's.
Yeah, he's averaging more than a full yard per carry better. He does have 5 fewer touchdowns on the ground, but otherwise he's, much better in terms of yards per game for EJ this year versus Lacey. All right, Jack. Your voice is toast, so we should probably.
I need to get off and not talk the rest of the day.
Yeah. Big picture wise, moving forward. We kind of hit on some of this stuff, and we'll talk about it more. We'll do a bonus pod for subscribers coming up on Wednesday. Also, we have a football show coming, and Jack is going to be on it this week. That will come out Tuesday for subscribers to our Patreon, and it'll come out Thursday for everybody else. I think people are really going to dig what we have cooked up for this week. But like TJ is going to be the story, and it really does make the next 2 games all the more interesting. And now we are in a off week, and so it will just, I feel like the chatter is going to be, and no pun intended with the Teefies, it's going to be very, very loud, I would say, Jack, over the course of the next couple of weeks. Very loud.
Teeth.
Yeah. Wow. Should be a lot of fun.
Other things to add in there. We will either be this week. It'll either be this week or next week. We will do formerly called Nebraska ball lunch or brunch show. I don't know which week or what the name or which day or what the name will be. I'm going to be after our Saturday morning coffee show, leaving for Sioux Falls. on Saturday to go to the Pentagon. Not that one. Go to the other Pentagon.
Yeah, journalists aren't allowed there anymore.
I'll be going to the Pentagon for Nebraska, Oklahoma. So we'll do a little preview, if either preview or review of that, depending on where Caleb and I can get our schedules together. So.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think we have a name idea, so we'll throw that out there and just confirm that that's what we're going to call it. But yeah, the brunch show, the name is going away, and it will not be a regular occurrence this season like it was last year, but there will be stuff, and we will be doing After Nebraska Ball. That'll also return. Again,
I won't do it for Oklahoma because I'll be there, so I can't do it for that game.
Yeah. Some of these early games, they're not on TV, right? Like we're going to do one for sure for the Creighton game. That'll, at the very least, there will be After Nebraska Ball coming up for the Creighton game.
I would say there's a great chance the first one will be after that Thursday night Kansas City game.
Okay. Perfect.
Thursday.
Is that the week before Thanksgiving?
The week before Thanksgiving, the Thursday night before Thanksgiving.
21st. All right. Awesome. So that's what we got coming up over the course of the next few weeks.
If you're in Sioux Falls, come say hi. My son and I will be there. Yep.
Awesome. Perfect. So that's what we got coming up. There will be a volleyball state for subscribers tonight at 7:00. So stay tuned for that one. Thank God Jack didn't agree to do that podcast this week because he doesn't have a voice. So maybe we should have done the post game last night at midnight because you did have a voice at midnight last night.
I didn't think I yelled that much at the half marathon, but maybe I did, or maybe it was because it was cold. I'm not sure, but something has happened to my voice, which is such bad news.
Yeah.
Such bad news for so many entities.
Yeah. Do you talk for a living, Jack? Do you talk for 4 hours every weekday?
It's like Emmett Johnson. It's like it's like Dylan Raiola breaking his leg for 2 days.
All right. So that's what we got coming up. Volleyball state tonight, Big Ten breakdown tomorrow. Again, for subscribers, I-80 football show will be available in your feed on Tuesday. Bonus show coming up on Wednesday. And so much more. So we would love to have you. Patreon.com/I80 Club. Nebraska 7-3, best record after 10 games in 9 seasons. For Jack Mitchell, I'm Josh Peterson. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday morning. We will talk to you later this week.